All right. Good evening, good morning, depending on where you're joining. We've got some members from around the world. Great to have you. Simon, you there? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, terrific. So, got Dr. Simon Wong based in Melbourne, Australia. I'm his business partner and brother in New York. So it's our lunch Q&A. Simon's lunchtime in Melbourne, and yeah, we've got a few doctors, Dr. Tang, Dr. Chang from Malaysia, actually. Some of the Malaysian attendees. We're originally from Malaysia ourselves, so big shout out to our friends in Malaysia. So it's regular Q&A. Actually, this week, I think everyone's on summer vacation in the US, so there hasn't been any questions submitted. If actually we've got some, more advanced students, Dr. Chang. Welcome, welcome from Malaysia. Some newer students who've joined the challenge as well. We're going to be it's a soft launch. It's really our first 30-day GOPex Growth Challenge. We are probably going to be doing this monthly and promoting it a little bit more. We've got Dr. Candace is in the house. Welcome, one of our mentees from Arizona. Welcome, welcome. So yeah, let's get started with our regular Q&A. So if you have any questions, um, feel free to raise your hand. We've got another 45 minutes with Simon. So if you've got any questions related to the curriculum, if you're new, if you've got any questions about the challenge, feel free to either submit the questions in the chat. I'll just type a hello in the chat. We do have an official. There's some new folks here. Q&A, the Zoom panel has normally a Q&A section. So if you can find that, just type it in there. Anyone would like to start the ball? Actually, Dr. Dutton normally submits quite a few questions, but she's just coming back from her vacation. So hasn't submitted any questions this week. Dr. Chang or Dr. Vandenberg, you guys have any questions for Simon? How was your birthday week, Candice? Hope you had a nice vacation and a break. Um, yeah, join us on the panel if you like. Just raise your hand and we can invite you to the panel. Dr. Chang, do you have any questions for Simon? I know you've been going through our case study vault and might have some questions for Simon. I'm sure you have a few. Don't be shy. I said there's not a big group tonight. Let's see here. Can you guys hear me okay? I want to make sure we're not just talking to can you type hello? Candace is sorry, listening while I'm driving, not a problem. Thanks, Candace. Dr. Tang, anyone, Dr. Chang, anyone want to introduce themselves? Say hello. Simon, how's your week been? Any
Uh,
interesting thoughts, sharings, anything you want to share with a few folks here to get the ball rolling? Candace says hello again. Hello, hello. So let's talk a bit about the challenge. Um, there's this obsession with appliances, right? Everyone in this dental field and part of the protocol is GOPEX, good oral posture exercises. Why do you feel it's something that oh, Dr. Cheng says GR, what's that? Grr? Good morning? Or well, yeah, what are some of the objectives, I guess, of hopefully getting folks into this challenge? Is about 6, 7 hours of content that you can watch at your own convenience over the next 30 days. We'll be sending reminders. And everyone's busy. Rather than doing a 2-day program that we used to run, 2 consecutive days on either in person at a venue somewhere around the world or oh, good morning from Malaysia. Do type where you're from, which part of Malaysia. Simon and I were born in Ipoh. For those of you know where Ipoh is, shout out to those from anyone from Ipoh or KL. Anyway, so yeah, we used to have a 2-day program. When COVID hit, that was our first event in Sydney. And JB, nice. Actually, have we ever? Well, I've never been. Simon, have you been to JB before? Johor Bahru? No, yeah, we never ventured down there. Is it? I don't even know. I can't remember whether it's north or south of KL. My goodness. But yeah, we used to have a 2-day program, 2-day introduction, and the first event was in Sydney, March 2020. And we know what happened in March 2020. COVID hit, so we decided let's do it all on Zoom, and it turned out well. Actually, we had about 90 people attend on Zoom, and that after the 2 days, we ran some more events on Zoom and did it every year at an annual 2-day introduction, and then folks who were interested in advanced training would raise their hand and we would record it. Or eventually, when COVID relaxed, we had advanced training in Melbourne, whether it was a clinical day, you could shadow Simon for a day, or spend a day at Enrico's lab where all these wonderful appliances are made, and you can learn all the nuances of fixing appliances and whatnot. They're pretty amazing devices. My 2 boys, Simon's nephews, are actually going through the protocol right now. We just received the appliances about a month ago, and going through the ins and outs of fixing things and getting used to the appliances and putting GOPex into practice. So it's looking forward to the challenge, trying to document the journey, and we'll be releasing actually the first episode next week. And the challenge now, some of the questions we've had was, oh, what actually happens on the first day of the challenge, which is Monday. It's the first Monday of August. And we'll just be sending out an email welcoming, and basically we can get started. There's no Q&A, there's no launch Zoom per se. We just run these weekly Q&A sessions like we are doing now. And the Zoom links will change. We update it every week. Inside the school community, which for those of you, actually, I might as well share my screen. So if you have questions, do submit it and we can get to them as you guys are pondering what to ask. But in the meantime, let me just do a little bit of orientation for those. A few of you have already joined the challenge. So the school community, school.com, is just a third-party learning platform. It's a community, it's a portal for uploading trainings, and our kind of community, our club is GOPex GOPex Growth Community Early Interceptive Postural Orthodontics for dentists and allied health professionals. And you can see here a couple of pinned. The date of the next is August 3rd, right? 12 p.m. is our kind of official start point. And we cut off registrations for that, which means if you join beforehand and you want your CE, it's optional, right? Some of you may not need CE, so some of you who do want CE, then we require you to complete the 6-7 hours. We have a classroom tab here, right? You start off with the growth protocol masterclass, which we broke it up. It's 60 minutes, but we broke it up into 4 parts, from origin stories to GOPex, the posture literature review, facial epigenetics, and then there's the GOPex ebook and some articles you can download and read. And then obviously some of you may not have actually joined the challenge, but now we've made it so that you have to join the challenge to join our growth community. Right, it's a prerequisite. And then, so for dentists, there's a particular set of curriculum, and for allied health professional, there's a lighter. Obviously, we don't talk about appliances, but let's say for the dentists in here, the first week is heavily based on GOPex. Right? We got the principal video. These are 1-2 minute videos, lessons, specific lessons, optional extra exercises. But there's an orientation here, basically going through what is involved. In a nutshell, you're doing 10-15 minutes of these exercises every day. Find someone to hopefully have a child or a volunteer in the family or to help you go through these exercises so you can actually put this into practice and train your patients or your children when the time comes. All right. So we have a 1-page summary. There's a very simple thing you can download. You can take a picture on your phone and put in your favorites, and then you got this simple reminder of what's involved every day, right? So next week during the Q&A we'll spend a little bit of time to remind people what is involved with this. What is the ideal oral posture? Right? Ideal development of the jaws and the teeth is dependent on correct oral posture. At rest, the tongue should be on the palate with lips sealed and teeth in near or light contact. Light contact of the teeth should be for between 4 to 8 hours a day. All right, so we're doing the open mouth and inner smile. First thing you do in the morning with your child, just 1 minute takes you. As they're washing their face, rinsing their mouth, they're in front of the mirror. Most kids have no clue how to smile when they're 4, 5, 6. They kind of have weird smiles. And then you remind them of the proper resting posture, lips closed, teeth together, tongue on palate, and get them to smile. Practice all types of weird, smile, have fun with your child, right? And the inner smile, close the eyes for that minute, with the lips closed, eyes closed, tongue on the palate, breathe through the nose and smile into your heart, lungs, and tummy and all the cells in your body. Right? Just for a minute, have fun with it. Right? Teach them to kind of relax. And then there's a counting exercise, right? Which is, spend, this is twice a day, before breakfast, dinner, 2-3 minutes, daily counting, count 1 to 60. And you're the conductor, right? Conductor method, voice and hands together, and the left hand does the counting, and the right hand clenches the fist as the reminder of the teeth together. All right, and the pause and rest posture, nose breathing every 5th count, right? And then I'm just quickly, skipping through this. As you watch each of the videos that obviously are related to this will make a lot more sense. And then these are kind of reminder points, right? And then the focused chewing right after the counting, you got the breakfast and dinner chew 15, 20 times until the fern turns into mush. For focused, 3 minutes. Supervise with the parents as well. 1 to 2 seconds pause when when you're swallowing, lips and teeth lightly touching, and then swallow. Right? Don't forget to brush your teeth and hug your parents. Right? So just some very simple exercises, which that's the beauty of it. It's the simplicity. There's a lot of very more complex exercises and gadgets and widgets you can purchase. Tons of myofunctional, this and that. All fantastic. Simon just designed something that is designed to be simple, but that's why you can teach young kids, right? And hopefully it's all about routine and discipline and spending this time with your child to get them to, remember what is important. Right. So this black and white, if you want a color printer version, you can. So that's in here. And then you've got download the 30-day worksheet, right? It's a spreadsheet that we've created. And you have fun with this with your child. You can print this out if you want. You can save it as, you can nicely print it out like this, file print, or you can save it out as a spreadsheet, make a copy, and then you can manually tick them off, right? So there's just 5 things you're doing, and remember to brush your teeth, and then simple lovey hugs and mom and dad 10 seconds before they go to bed, and then that's it. It's a simple tool to follow through. We have the weekly Q&As, and the Zoom link changes, but it's basically this link that never changes. If you're like, oh, I don't know where the Zoom link, it's this particular link, and then we update this button. Right, it's currently with there's daylight saving shifts every twice a year or thereabouts, but for now it's at 10 p.m. New York time, or which is 12 p.m. Thursday Melbourne time, right? So we've got people all around the world who'll be joining, um, and then just remember we'll be updating this basically the next day, every week, unless there's an emergency and Simon has a patient that he's running behind or whatever. But I think he's never missed one so far. But yeah, so we've got the basic set of instructions, and then you've got the curriculum to watch, right? There's really about 70, 80, 90 minutes a week, right? So you're here to learn. So put in the time and effort to do these exercises, go through the training. You don't have to watch just 90 minutes a week. If you want, you can go through the 6 hours in a week, right? And then you can spend the time to think about questions and put things into practice. And as I said, week, we're here to answer your questions. So Dr. Cheng has a question. Let's get into it. Simon mentioned not to treat before 6 and after 11 for postural orthodontics. Are there any exceptions? Is that correct? So let's, Simon, this is your recollection, Dr. Cheng. Simon mentioned not to treat before 6 and after 11. So I'll let you answer that one as I copy and paste this into the Q&A doc. Simon, are you there? There we go. I'm going to put this question officially into the Wednesday. Let me give you the link. Thanks for the question, Dr. Cheng. Let me just paste it. You got the link, Simon? Or I can give it to you on WhatsApp. Okay, let me. Do you have the link handy, or I can just WhatsApp you and you?
Yeah, so Simon mentioned not to treat before 6 and after 11 for postural orthodontics. Are there any exceptions? So children present at every age with issues, and decisions have to be made as to when would be the best time to treat. So obviously, a decision from a clinical perspective has to take into consideration the periods during growth and development that make active orthodontic intervention very difficult. Generally, dental transitions are periods where it's very difficult to treat. So obviously, when teeth are coming through in primary dentition, when teeth are coming through in early mixed dentition, and when teeth are coming through in late mixed dentition. These generally correspond with biological ages of 1 to 2 years of age for primary dentition eruption, 6 to 7 for early mixed dentition, and 10 to 13 for late mixed dentition, early permanent dentition. So these windows are times where appliances just don't fit well. So there are times where we don't recommend you do postural orthodontic treatment. When you are looking at primary dentition between the ages of around 3 to 6 years of age, you have a stable environment where teeth aren't changing over. And if you have a significant skeletal issue, then of course you can justify early interception, early intervention. When you have this time frame to work at, you're dealing with much younger children with potentially much more significant issues because you're stepping in at that age because of significant imbalances. Why would we not advocate treating before 6 and after 10 or 11? The difficulty level of treating primary dentition is significantly higher than the difficulty level of treating in mixed dentition. Treating at late mixed dentition is virtually impossible because of the changeover of primary molars to permanent premolars and the closing of leeway space. So this time frame of between 7 and 9 is recommended because that's the timeline where you have a reasonably stable occlusion, you don't have a lot of teeth changing over, you aren't so late that you've missed the early intervention window, you're not so early that you're making life difficult for yourself because it's not easy to treat in the primary dentition for a beginner. So the recommendation of treating between 7 and 9 or 7 and 8 is one of prudency for the inexperienced clinician. Do I treat outside of this 7 to 10 age window? Yes. Do I struggle more than when I treat in 7 and 8 and 9-year-olds? Absolutely. Do I demand that you don't treat before 6 and after 11? Of course not. But be aware you have, in addition to the difficulty of managing malocclusion, you also have age, maturity level issues, and you also have biological transition periods that are extremely difficult to manage. After 11, you are dealing with malocclusions that are starting to harden and set. So your capacity to change arch forms, your capacity to change growth patterns, your capacity to unravel 10 years of bad posture becomes increasingly difficult. So these have very tough treatments ahead because it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't seem to make that much of a difference as far as growth is concerned, and very much more difficult to create arch form development changes. Next question. Good morning, I'm from Malaysia. Hello from Malaysia. I understand that for some cases, even without tongue tie surgery, you are able to achieve excellent results. Just wanted to ask your view on tongue ties. Is it a procedure you advise on a regular basis or more of an exception in specific case? So tongue ties are a big point of focus for many clinicians today. Tongue ties appear to be associated with many issues of malocclusion, of growth abnormalities, imbalances, and sleep disorder breathing related issues. My focus is on orthodontic and orthodontic growth and development. And my interests are resolving issues that hamper good oral posture. So when I look at issues, whether they be habits, whether they be skeletal imbalances, whether they be dental misalignments or missing teeth or biological age or whatever factors I'm dealing with, ultimately I'm only interested in, does this need to be corrected for me to be able to correct the resting oral posture? Tongue ties may be associated with many different health implications, growth implications, dental alignment issue implications, but it seems to be less of a concern when focused on altering and improving oral posture. To achieve good oral posture, one of the prerequisites is not to have a grade 4 level tongue tie. If a grade 4 level tongue tie is present, I know from experience that it is impossible to achieve good oral posture. So when a grade 4 level tongue tie is present in the child, I routinely refer on to have the tongue tie released. I know that that level of tethering is detrimental to oral posture, and I can't retrain a child to have good posture when we have a grade 4 level tongue tie. When we have less than a grade 4 level tongue tie, I find that that degree of tethering does not hamper a child's ability for good oral posture. So I generally find that if it's not a grade 4 tongue tie, then I don't usually have the tongue tie released. If it is a grade 4 level tongue tie, I always try to recommend and get a tongue tie release because I know that I can't achieve my goals. Grade 1, 2, or 3 level tongue ties, I can usually achieve my goals, so I don't usually worry about the tethering in that magnitude range.
Okay. Any other follow-up questions, Dr. Chang or Dr. Tang? Got some new guests as well who've joined the challenge. Welcome, welcome, Stephen and others. But this is kind of like a preview. We haven't officially started, but we already have some questions from folks. Yes, so any other questions, any follow-up questions? If you want to join our panel, you can just type in the chat, like, can I join the panel and have a discussion with Simon? You can be hot seated, so to speak. You can just submit the questions. Most are more comfortable just to type their questions in the chat or the Q&A. But feel free to raise your hand if you'd like to join the panel. You don't have to turn on your video, but you can have a conversation with Simon if that is more convenient. But every week we'll be here for Simon is available for 45 minutes every week, starting at 10 p.m., at least during this period before daylight saving shifts. This is Simon's Thursday lunchtime from 12 to 12:45 p.m. Melbourne, Australia time, which at the moment where I'm based in New York is Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, New York time, or 9 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Pacific. Okay, we have another question. Simon, if a patient is, I'm going to copy and paste this question for the benefit of everyone in, oh, Ray, Ray, I'll do it, Ray. maybe you're faster than me. Maybe Ray, I'll read it out. Ray, can you just copy it across? Simon, if a patient is a tongue-tied 2 or 3, do you inform patient? Do you inform the patient or do you inform?
Yeah, I explain all my findings. Um,
Yep, so that's a yes. Dr. Chang actually has joined our advanced training, but you're still part of the challenge. So glad you're rejoining and um, kind of get a refresher. But so some of these questions are not necessarily covered in the curriculum for the challenge, but you know these kind of general questions, absolutely, you can ask them during the Q&A time. So still have another at least 10 or 15 minutes for general questions. And then before Simon heads off to get back to his practice, I'll kind of give an orientation about what to expect for the challenge for those of you in the challenge. But open for another 10 minutes or so for Simon before he rushes off to see some patients. Any other questions for Simon? Anything? Candice, Alyssa, Dr. Yu, Stephen, anyone else with questions? Any other follow-up questions? Dr. Tang? Okay, so as you guys are thinking through, any final questions? Oh, I can't even share. Oh, Simon, if you can stop sharing for a second, and then I'll just waiting for questions. Ray, as soon as you see any questions pop in, just let me know. I'm going to share my screen and continue a little bit of the orientation. So once again, Simon is leaving in about 10 minutes. So if you've got any other questions for Simon, any clinical questions, do type them in the chat. The curriculum. Now, for those of you who joined, some of you have not actually joined the private school community properly yet. All right. So I won't name names publicly, but it's we did send an invitation via email and you have to click join. Right. It's just one of the limitations of because you have to create your own account. You know, people put their photos, you can put whatever photo you like, and you can connect with all the other members. The whole idea is to learn and collaborate. There's going to be dentists as well as allied health professionals, right? So it's just limited to dentists or allied health professionals. So we would have, when you made a purchase, we'll be sending a lot of automated follow-ups just as reminders to click the join now button, literally. And then it'll ask you to input your email and create a password. And once you're in, you can put any photo profile, whatever you normally do for Facebook or whatever picture you'd like to add. So, we can put a face to the profile. Some people just put AI photos or whatever, right? Put a real photo, you don't have to. But so the first step would be to go through the growth protocol, right? This is about 60 minutes. It's really the first part of the challenge is to go through this growth protocol covering these topics here from GOPex to posture literature review, facial epigenetics. The GOPex ebook is only 30 pages, but read it, right? It'll take you 20, 30 minutes to go through it or whatever. You can ignore this. A lot of you guys here should have already joined our challenge, but there's maybe a few people who joined in the early phases of our promotion where it was free to join our community, but now it is for paid members, paid challenge members only. It's not a huge investment, but we wanted to, make for those who pay a little sum of money, they'll put a little bit more effort. And there is a CE, component for those who wanted the CE option. But it's all laid out here. You can see there's 4 weeks of curriculum. If you are getting the CE and you wanted the 7 hours of CE or 5 hours if you're an allied health professional, then you do need to complete all these videos, right? So there's a certain, and then as you complete it, you click, complete it, right? So you go through one by one. They're short 1 or 2 minute videos, quite literally. Some or maybe some are 6 or 7, but most are short GOPex principles, the lessons, And then, there's then we go to week 2. You don't have to wait. These are all unlocked, so you can watch them, um, whatever, right? You can pace it. You can plan your week. You plan your 30-day challenge accordingly. But there's 6-7 hours of recorded content. And then at the end, we've included this 50 minutes of case excerpts. So this is, we actually have one-on-one mentoring in small groups as well. You can see some of the examples here that the different dentists around the world, from North America, from some from obviously US, where you can see a sample of actual cases being submitted for review and mentorship. So that's 50 minutes, and you got 5 or 6 or 7 examples there, and then the quiz for the pace. For those who want the CE, there's a quiz here. You can just click on this link, and it launches the quiz. There's a different quiz depending on if you're a dentist or an allied health professional. You need 80% correct, and the system allows you to keep on teching until you get your 80% right. So it's you know pretty light, not too stringent about you only get one chance or 2 chances. And then for those of you who upgraded for the case review, I know some of you have, there's some specific instructions. We've created a HIPAA compliant folder where you can upload specific records. Right? If you want Simon to review a particular case to see whether they're suitable for postural orthodontics, these are the specific records that he needs to take a look at things, right? From OPG, PanX, Ceph, usual things, right? There's also a pediatric sleep survey you need to fill out for your particular patient. Well, obviously anonymous. We just need the first name and last name, initial, age in years and month, and then fill out this survey. And once you have all the records ready, then you upload it into the folder. You've got 60 days, right? So the challenge is 30 days, but we give you a full 60 days from when you enroll to submit all the records. So more than enough time to gather this information, and then Simon will go through it and record his 10 to 15 minute assessment, review of that. So that's it in terms of the quiz. We have a calendar here where we have the weekly, it's 10 p.m. New York time. You won't see the Zoom. Oh, actually, we do have the Zoom links. We've already generated some of the Zoom links. Others will appear, you just kind of come back to here and you'll be able to see this one. We haven't generated that particular Zoom link as of yet. So go through the curriculum, come prepared with questions, make the most of it, right? So, and then on top of that, part of the challenge, which is not required for the CE, we don't expect everyone to have necessarily a child or a patient to do these exercises, right? So try to find someone to go through these exercises, and it's really probably the most important thing you can do is actually go through that process of going through these GOPex exercises for 10-15 minutes a day. Right? It's not easy to do it because we get busy with life, and that's why we have coaches and therapists out there who can help. Right? But if you find that parent who's motivated and can implement this, that is part of the way to screen whether that family is suitable. If they want, they can find a coach to remind them every week to see whether they're doing things correctly, or maybe part of the service you offer. But these days we all need accountability coaches, and we're here to be that every week. We want people to say, yes, I have been doing these exercises with my child, right? We want you to publicly declare, oh, I missed out for 3 days for these reasons, whatever, right? It is something that is simple, but not necessarily easy. for a reason, right? If it was simple, we wouldn't be in this epidemic of narrow jaws, mouth breathers everywhere because we live in a busy world. And I'll be the first to admit it as a parent of a 6 and an 8 year old. Now turned 7, actually. My son turned 7 yesterday. But we have, and there is in that classroom, we'll be uploading that first episode. We already, had some hiccups. My now 7, his 6-year-old molars erupted. So the first, fitting was a disaster. He was in pain, and we had to come back, and still haven't quite figured out what to do. But fortunately, Simon is supervising from Melbourne, and we'll figure it out together. So you can see how this, every month we're going to release an episode, kind of summarizing what happened that month. And the first episode will be out early August. All right. Any other questions? I don't know. Otherwise, Simon's going to wrap up. We do have a question. Thank you. Quick question from Dr. Stephen Flick. Is myofunctional therapy a significant part of, I guess, the treatment of postural orthodontics? Simon, want to answer that before you wrap up? So do remind me, Ray, when the question comes in.
So
Otherwise,
I think the name of our subdiscipline of what we teach um, signifies the significance of altering posture. So orthodontics is the correct alignment of teeth. Postural orthodontics is my take on altering posture to aid in the correction of dental and skeletal misalignments. So the fact that I lead with the word postural hopefully illustrates the weight of posture being a thing to address in postural orthodontics. And posture is an action that the child is performing in a way that is unfavorable to their orthodontic growth and development. So not only are we addressing the orthodontic misalignments and imbalances, but we are actively addressing the poor posture, which I believe to be the primary etiology of the malocclusion. Now, restructuring the skeletal and dental positions is only part of the equation, because addressing the etiology or the root cause of the malocclusion is actually the main goal. Addressing the bad posture is done through retraining with exercises that address the weak posture and improves the posture to be good and strong. So postural retraining is an integral part of the therapy.
so yep, absolutely, very important.
Okay.
Otherwise, there's relapses. Your time is up, Simon, and I got to rush off. Thank you, thank you. So we'll see you next week. So I'm here for another 10 or 15 minutes to answer your questions about the challenge that is officially starting on Monday. Once again, all that training is housed inside our GOPex platform. If you go to GOPex, if school.com/GOPex, you can't get in. All right, it's $397 per year, but you guys join at the special pricing, right? And all you need to do is click on a join now button that we emailed you. If for whatever reason you did not receive it, send us an email. Okay. The email or send us a text. We've all texted you guys. But here is our email in case you did not receive the invitation to join via email. Send us an email, we'll reply. Well, what we do is we send out, there's a system inside school where we can type in your email, send out the invitation via email. So look out for an email from school.com and it'll say something like, you've been invited to join the GOPex Growth community. That's the subject header. And then just accept it and then you can join. Once again, everything's on demand. There's about the first, the Growth Protocol Masterclass is broken into 4 separate modules, 60 minutes. So this is the introduction. That's free for anyone, but it's not in this platform. They get a separate link for the same content. But then the challenge is in here. So if you're a dentist, you go through you focus on 7A. If you're an allied health professional, your content is slightly is only 5 hours, right, of content versus 7. We don't cover appliances in detail in that challenge there. But all the training is you just systematically go through. These are very short videos. It's like 83 minutes is, for week 1, right? Now, you can get through more than that in a week, obviously, in your first week. Week 2 is about 75. So you can go through this hopefully in order. It was designed to be particular sequence, but you can go through them all, tick them off. And then there's also, you don't have to, you can kind of skip to this if you want to get into seeing how Simon supervises. We have a very comprehensive program, not just a challenge. You can only learn so much in 6 or 7 hours, but it'll give you a good idea of what, postural orthodontics is about. You can see how Simon supervises actual mentees. So we've been teaching this particular format of postural orthodontics for about 6-7 years, since 2020. It's like 6-7 years. And we've been mentoring students as well. So once they complete a certain amount of introductory training and advanced training, roughly 40, anywhere from 30 to 40 odd hours of training, you can join the mentorship program. All right, so you can actually see samples of Simon mentoring actual students and what they're covering for that particular patient, what they submit for Simon to review. This is part of our case study vault. We archive over 400 hours of mentorship calls that have been done over the last 6 years, and we've categorized them into different malocclusions. So let's say you have a class 3 or a class 2 div 1 case. We've got dozens of examples of, Simon screening that patient, that dentist accepting, or that patient, that family accepting the treatment. And then from beginning of the treatment to, every 6 to 8 weeks, there could be a review until it the treatment finishes in 12 to 18 months. So you can see the progress of the x-rays, the photos, and all the different appliances used, and go through dozens of case studies like this in our advanced case study program. So once again, it's all here. It's all on demand. You've got the 30 days to complete. Now, you've got a year's access to the training, all right? We got a whole year, we're not going to kick you out of this program, this platform. You got a whole year, right? If you want the CE, then you need to finish it within 30 days, right? What happens if, you're late? Well, if you don't finish it, and if you don't finish the quiz and the 7 hours, and haven't attended at least one Q&A, I mean, there's 4, just got to attend one, and you let us know which one, and we can mark off attendance and stuff. There is a late fee. I mean, realistically, most should be able to finish in 30 days. It's only 7 hours of content. But if for whatever reason you cannot, then if you complete it between 31 to 60, there's a $35, penalty. It's just marginal, but it's hopefully just, encourage you to complete things in that 30-day window. And if you don't finish it in 6 months, there's no CE, right? So anyway, so that is a very simple process. And if you want, you're halfway through, you're like, I have got a case that I want to see whether it's suitable, and you're not sure whether the malocclusion is too severe. We are not teaching orthotropic. Simon, has learned different additional techniques for more hyperdivergent cases. He talks a bit about the evidence, some of the stuff that he does, which is a lot more severe cases. That could take 3 to 5 years to complete. And that's extremely difficult to teach a relative newcomer to early intervention type treatment. So we'd rather you only focus on expansion only cases that take 12 to 18 months to complete. So those are the types that are being supervised. And so that's why we call it postural orthodontics, as opposed to what Simon learned from the late Professor John Mew, who taught orthotropics, which can be for more severe cases as well. So does anyone have any questions about the challenge itself? As I said, this is just every week we get on at Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern time for questions related to that particular week. Now, if you've already gone through the entire training, by all means, if you've got a question that's related to clinical implementation, we've got very specific videos about this. Was taken from our 2-day introduction that was held in Hilton in New York, New Jersey, a couple of years ago. And, there's about 150 people. So he goes through exactly all the different, how he sets up his practice for and what type of appliances that are being used, the lower, the upper, the retainers, etc. What type of photography? Photography is an integral part of all this, documenting things properly, not only for case presentation, but for your own records and seeing very clearly what the issues are and presenting it to the families. 8 Point Dental Lab. This is exactly the same lab as Simon has been using for 20 years. He's developed these appliances with Enrico, the lab technician, who was working for another company back 20 years ago, but now has set up his own company. It's his own company, separate from us. We don't have any financial arrangement with them at all, apart from them being a sponsor of our events, obviously. But you get the same price as what Simon pays if you order directly from them in Australia. And pretty much all our mentees at the moment ordering through them initially. Yeah, we encourage you. We give you all the specs. We had a lady in Mexico who did not want to order from Australia because it's obviously expensive, Australian dollar versus the peso, whatever. But she built her own appliance following our instructions. We have advanced training that covers all that. We give you the exact specs, what screws, what acrylic, the design, and she did it for her own daughter, and she built her own appliances. Right? You can DIY, and so on and so forth. Right? So it's in some sense it covers stuff that we never used to cover in the 2-day intro because we never gave such comprehensive 50 minutes of examples of how Simon supervises or mentors students around the world in different cases. But so I'll give you a good sense of what's involved. So we've got specific step-by-step training and step-by-step instructions on how to get into practice these, what seems quite simple, expanding the upper and the lower up to 8 millimeters using removable appliances. And importantly, to prevent relapse, retraining the oral posture using a simple but effective, it's my brother's myofunctional therapy, exercise called GOPex, good oral posture exercises, which is often poo-pooed and too simple. And how can it be that important? But it's actually a critical aspect. And if you ever get mentored by Simon, he'll reinforce that until the cows, come home about how critical it is to retrain the mouth posture, the tongue posture to get proper oral posture. Right? So we call it postural orthodontics. I mean, other people have used that term in the past. No one can trademark it. We're not the first to ever come up with that name. But specifically, early intervention postural orthodontics is our focus from 4 to 10-year-olds. That ideally 7 or 8 before the lower canines erupt, which happens around 9 or 10. varies from child to child. And for, as Simon mentioned at the beginning of the session, if for severe cases, you may want to start expanding when they're 4 and 5 and address some of the issues. Any final questions? Otherwise, I'm going to wrap up. But at my personal email, okay, got a question. When I try to get into GOPex in school, it asks for payment, but I've already paid. Is there something I'm missing? Yes, Stephen, as I mentioned, we send you a link that you have to accept. So I'm going to resend. Let me give you. I've texted you. I don't know whether I have your correct number, but this is my personal mobile, and we can schedule a time where I'm going to send you an email, and then you just simply need to click accept or join. So I'm going to do it right now. I'm not going to share your private email, but I'm going to do it right now so I can resolve this technical issue right away. So I'm going to, here it is. I'm going to resend the invitation. Here it is, resend. Okay, please check your email. It's the Gmail one, SK Flick. I won't say the final two numbers. You know what that is, probably your year of birth, at gmail.com. And go check that email and tell me if you received an email from school.com, SKOOL. It's not going back to school, but where it says like something like, you've been invited to join the GOPex Growth community. So actually, I want to, make sure that you can get access before I say goodnight. Did you get it okay? So we'll just take this opportunity to make sure you've got access. I think Alyssa's in, Dr. Cheng is in, a few others are in already. So good night for the rest of. Oh, yes, I got it. Fantastic. So click on join, join now, and then it'll ask you to re-input your email and ask you to create a password, because this is a membership, private membership, where you can upload a photo, and it's a place to connect with other dentists and allied health professionals. All rightio. And then you can go through the training. You can get started now. You don't have to wait till Monday. And as I said, you have 1 year's access. If CE is important, try to get it done within a month, or, no later than 2 months. Otherwise, you're going to get another, there's a $35 penalty. And if you don't finish it in 2 months, I think it's $55 penalty. Not a huge amount by any means, but, it's just something to hopefully get you guys to finish a little bit earlier, the training. So are you in okay, Dr. Stephen? Just want to make sure you've got in. And hopefully you can create. Yes, perfect. You're in. All right, excellent. Thank you, Stephen. Glad. So that wasn't too painful. Sometimes technology is a pain in the behind, but fortunately everything's good. So on that note, any other final questions, ladies and gentlemen? Otherwise, looking forward to having you join us every week with questions. The more you put in, the more you'll get out of it, and hopefully you'll be able to have a different light in terms of understanding of how important it is to start early, to treat early. All right, so I don't think there's any other questions. Otherwise, I'll say good night from New York. All right, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Same time, different place. The Zoom link, I'm just going to, one more final reminder. We send out reminders, emails and everything, but inside school, because these weekly Q&As are very important, there's a good chance to kind of collect your thoughts, go through that 1-2 hours of training, write down your questions. Questions will pop up. And then the next week is what? We're into August, right? So you'll see that August 5th. Actually, I think we've already generated. No, as you can see, August 5th, which is next week, the Zoom link is not generated, right? So the team normally does it the following day. So, come next week when you log back into our school community, you will see the correct Zoom link in here. And then you can just log in a few minutes beforehand or whatever. All right. So Simon's on for 45 minutes to answer all your questions. And then the remaining 10 to 15 minutes, people are joining throughout the month. We're running different campaigns to invite people. And even though their official challenge may start next month in September. So it's kind of rolling, right? Every 4 week, every first month is when we officially launch. So they might join a little bit early, and then they're kind of like getting their feet wet a little bit, trying to, you know, mentally prepare to get into some sort of new sort of training. And so there'll be orientation. So we kind of reserve that for the last 10 or 15 minutes. And at the same time, I'm excited to share the first episode of my two boys' journey going through this protocol. All right, they're now 7 and 8 now in the first month of putting the appliances in, and there's I'm sure lots of questions related to GOPex, and you'll get to see firsthand over the next 12, 18 months how it plays out for my two boys, the nephews of Dr. Simon Wong. Alrighty. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Have a great one. Good night. Good morning, wherever you are. Ciao for now. And this is recorded. And if you've missed out a little bit early, it's uploaded on our YouTube channel. So our YouTube channel is quite simply, and we email everyone, but let me just give you the YouTube channel. Quickly. Let's see. Partial. Yeah, here it is. I'll share my screen. Let's see. And voila, this is a YouTube channel. It's just simply youtube.com/@posh orthodontics. I'll just share it in the screen, but so we normally upload, there's a playlist, but right down the bottom, you can see the Q&A, right? So every week, generally we upload, we transcribe, everything's here if you miss it. You can submit questions in advance. You can email us with a few questions if you cannot make it live. And Simon will answer them. We have a Q&A Google Doc that we type it all out, and Simon is pretty efficient with answering questions. So it's all, flexible from that point of view if you can't make it live. Alrighty, guys. All right, so that's about it. That's about it from my end, and all for now. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.